Welcome back to the worst chess series on the internet, Zero ELO Chess, where I feature viewer-submitted games from my Discord, and they're all legendary. Before we get into our main game, I'm gonna start the video with an honorable mention. Tunish viewer has the white pieces. It goes like this: G4, E5, E4, Bishop C5, Knight H3. Black has a lot of great developing moves here, but what you should not be playing as Black is Queen H4. Do you see the purpose of Queen H4? Some of you probably do, and some of you are probably like, this is a dumb move. No, it's not. Well, now white plays G5 and black looks very smart because after it takes, the bishop blocks. Yeah, that's how bishops move. You just win the rook. But, and I ask you again, don't you see the purpose of Queen H4? Well, you should have, because mate is hanging. Some real scholars mating ideas, but actually knights move backwards, and the game ends with D5. But our real treat today is from Tunish viewer Wen the Z, who was unironically 108 ELO. And I can't even begin to pronounce his opponent's name, but just know he is 100 ELO. It starts with E4, D5, D4, E5. The pawn cube is constructed, typical 100 ELO behavior. Obviously, this is a terrible move because after DE, white is cooking, but there is a hidden objective here, so that does not happen. Knight F3 followed by Knight C6, and then Knight C3. Can you guess what happens next? Maybe. Knight F6. This is the copycat gambit. The game continues with Bishop G5, Bishop G4, Bishop B5, and you guessed it, I think, Bishop B4. And now Knight takes E5, straight up blundering the queen, but this is the copycat gambit, so that does not happen. And somehow, again, white is now completely winning here. Not because of bishop takes queen, but because of this free hanging piece, queen takes bishop. But white says, yes, wow, that's a free queen. And of course, white is still winning here. Black recaptures, continuing the copycat gambit. And then white says, king safety is important. And black cannot deny that, and also castles. And before we move on, I just want to note that bishop takes d1 a few moves ago was a great move, but you're not prepared for this. Knight takes d5, probably an accidental brilliant. That happens to be beautiful. If rook takes bishop, bishop takes c6, pawn captures, and now knight takes b4, and white is totally winning. And if knight takes d4, we take the bishop, by the way, at knight cube, rook takes, and then you take the knight. And you should notice that I said, if knight takes pawn, meaning that that did not happen in the actual game. What actually happened was knight takes knight. Black does the unthinkable. They break the copycat gambit. Now there's this very funny idea. Bishop takes c7, hitting the knight. The knight's already pre-hanging. So the best move is like literally to sacrifice the knight. But instead, if knights move backwards, you take the bishop and you're cooking. But instead, Tunish viewer says, no way, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking your pawn, I'm not taking the knight, I'm not taking the bishop. Instead, I'm throwing away my advantage with knight f3 check. Checks are always the best, just know that. King h8 on the board. And only now bishop takes c7. This move is no longer so good because the bishop takes c2, favoring saving this bishop over this knight. That's not what happens. Instead, knight f3 check. And you might be thinking that's a dumb move. No, because after pawn takes, bishop takes, saving this bishop that could have taken this pawn. And somehow this game is back to a draw again after a simple move like knight f5, saving your knight. Yeah, so that happens. And now the knight is just totally hanging. And now black plays like an insane low elo move. Like, honestly, this is kind of like an insane move. Knight g5, this is like insane. Now white has to play h4. Why h4? Because if you try to save your knight, oh my god, you're getting mated. And if you play rook f to e1, which is what happened, there is now mate in 45. Stockfish just doesn't see it yet. It's a little slower than my brain. No, but actually bishop takes knight, and then black moves on with the game and they're just cooking. But instead, knight h3 check, which is also fine, followed by king f1 and bishop takes rook. This is not as good as simply just taking that free full piece, but it is what it is. Now in this position, white does have an edge, which you have to take with this rook and not the king. Now the king is more vulnerable and there's a lot of nasty things that can happen. But this is a zero elo masterpiece. So the most non-nasty option happens. Rook f to e8, And then, like, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This, like, actually happened. Now, there is a very cool move here that is not knight f5 if you play that f6 and your bishop is pinned. Instead, you could just sidestep your bishop and save your knight. But white says, no way, I'm exploding the board and plays c4. And now black takes the knight, followed by b4. If you don't know what to do, just, like, sporadically push your pawns. And you'll notice that this... No! F5! And now, ladies and gentlemen, A4 followed by the point of F5. F4. These next few moves are truly beautiful. B5 followed by Rook D7. That pawn was defended. So white's like, let me undefend the pawn, blunder my bishop at the same time. And then, Rook takes D4, Rook D1, hanging it both ways. Rook takes bishop, mate in 2.